Galactic wars, festive cheer, and a very real mission into outer space. This is everything you need to know about the Guardians of the Galaxy's resident underdog. Cosmo the Space Dog's origins go all the way back to 1957, over a decade before the first iteration of Guardians of the Galaxy hit comic book store shelves. During the space race, Russia made history after adopting a stray mongrel, whom they named Laika, to be one of their test subjects. In November of that year, Laika was launched into space aboard the Sputnik 2 spacecraft, becoming the first animal to orbit the Earth. Laika's voyage in outer space was not one she would return from, however. She died after overheating during the journey. The incident has since become a talking point for animal rights activists who protest animal testing. Despite her tragic end, Laika's legacy lives on in modern-day media. Her fictionalized story was the subject of an Eisner-winning graphic novel by Nick Abatsis, while her name serves as the moniker for the animation studio behind Coraline and The Missing Link. In addition, Laika's story also happened to inspire two comic book writers, Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, who created the character of Cosmo for Marvel Comics in 2008. Although Cosmo's first appearance in the comics was alongside Richard Rider, more commonly known as the superhero Nova, Cosmo's backstory wasn't revealed until the 2008 comic book issue Guardians of the Galaxy #1. Similar to Laika, Cosmo was a guinea pig for the Soviet space program in the 1960s, though their stories diverge when Cosmo is lost in orbit. At some point, Cosmo's entire being was altered by cosmic radiation. As a result, he gained telekinetic powers. In addition to being able to control objects with his mind, Cosmo also has the ability to speak telepathically, which he uses to communicate with various characters in person and from far away. This is often used for comedic effect in the comics, as Cosmo's speech is portrayed as broken, Russian-accented English. The space mutation also gives Cosmo an extended lifespan compared to the average dog, as well as a host of potent psychic powers. Luckily, Cosmo tends to use these powers for good. Sometime after Cosmo acquires his powers, his spacecraft drifts into nowhere, which is the severed head of a Celestial, now serving as a kind of planet in the Marvel Universe. While Celestials didn't appear in the MCU in full form until the 2021 film Eternals, Nowhere made its debut in the first Guardians of the Galaxy film as the home of Benicio del Toro's enigmatic Collector.
How wonderful to meet in the flesh.
In the comics, Nowhere becomes the place of residence for Cosmo the Space Dog, and Nova 8 reveals that he has become the planet's chief of security. As part of his job keeping a watchful eye over the citizens of Nowhere, Cosmo uses a brainstem from the dead Celestial to power the Continuum Cortex, a teleportation device for any location in the universe. When Nova arrives, Nowhere becomes a base of the Nova Corps, who allow the Guardians of the Galaxy to set up shop there. Additionally, Cosmo's spacesuit is key to his job of protecting the citizens of Nowhere. Cosmo stores a dimensional envelope in his collar, a device that creates a pocket dimension in which he can safely hide the planet's inhabitants in the event of an extraterrestrial attack. Cosmo's work as Chief of Security for Nowhere eventually leads him to his first fateful meeting with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Cosmo becomes an adamant ally of the team in the 2008 run of Guardians of the Galaxy, going so far as to suggest the team rename themselves the Retrievers, or the Canine, in his honor. However, their meeting required some happenstance on the part of the Guardians. Cosmo initially met Nova while he was on the run from the Abyss, a cosmic entity that turns humans into zombies. On Nowhere, Nova confronted the Abyss with the help of Cosmo, who protected its citizens with the dimensional envelope in his collar. Afterward, Nova recommended to the Guardians that they take up Nowhere as their new headquarters. At the time, the Guardians of the Galaxy consisted of Peter Quill, Gamora, Rocket Raccoon, Drax, Groot, and Adam Warlock. Cosmo eventually played a big role in the Thanos Imperative, a comic book storyline also helmed by Cosmo's creators Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning. After invaders from Earth 10011 come to Earth 616, the Guardians team up with Thanos to stop the threat posed by an alternate Lord Mar-Vell. The conflict eventually claims the lives of many members of the Guardians, including Adam Warlock, Drax, and Peter Quill, the latter of whom charges Cosmo with carrying on the legacy of the Guardians. In the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, fans took notice of Cosmo's early interactions with Rocket Raccoon.
Just concentrate, you stupid mutt. What?
There's a little hostility between the two, which will likely carry over to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and this animosity also has origins in the Marvel Comics. In the first issue of the 2008 Guardians of the Galaxy run, the two exchange unpleasantries upon the Guardians' return to Nowhere. Given that Rocket trusts pretty much nobody, it makes sense that his relationship with Cosmo is less than friendly. Nevertheless, the two eventually warm up to each other, becoming reluctant teammates during Rocket Raccoon's solo comic series in 2014. In Rocket Raccoon number 6, Rocket goes through a lot of trouble to secure Cosmo dog treat cupcakes, which Cosmo deems as crucial to his survival. As both Rocket and Cosmo are expected to appear in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, you can expect the dynamic between the two anthropomorphic Guardians will be explored more deeply. That's especially true considering that the new film will, according to James Gunn, delve into Rocket Raccoon's life and origins. Since a confrontation with the High Evolutionary is on the horizon, the humanity of anthropomorphized animals will likely play a big role in this third chapter of the MCU's Guardian trilogy. Peter Quill's death at the end of the Thanos Imperative storyline leads to a cataclysmic shift in the cosmic side of the Marvel Universe. Tasked with carrying on the legacy of the Guardians, Cosmo is responsible for bringing together some of the strongest beings in the universe to fulfill Quill's original dream. This new team assembled by Cosmo debuts in the 2011 miniseries Annihilators, consisting of Beta Ray Bill, the Silver Surfer, Ronan the Accuser, Quasar, Gladiator, and Icon. Conflict soon arises between the assembled heroes and anti-heroes who are reluctant to carry out Quill's vision. Still, Cosmo is determined to keep this group together. He offers them the mission of dealing with the Dire Wraiths, who have recently broken out of their imprisonment in the Dark Nebula. Cosmo doesn't reappear until Annihilators number 4 after the team has successfully dealt with the Dire Wraith threat, at which point they return to Nowhere ready for another mission. Of course, it speaks to Cosmo's influence in the Marvel Universe that he's able to gather a team that is so stacked with powerful intergalactic warriors. Becoming the Nick Fury of the Annihilators is far from the highest stakes Cosmo has been involved with in the comics. Cosmo's creators Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning also helmed the crossover story War of Kings, which revolves around a conflict between the Kree Empire and the Shi'ar. The war not only draws in the Guardians of the Galaxy, but also the Nova Corps, Inhumans, and several other cosmic armies. Cosmo's role in the storyline gives him an opportunity to interact with two underrated members of the Guardians. After losing track of Peter Quill during a fight, Mantis telepathically contacts Cosmo, asking him to teleport them to Peter's location with the Continuum Cortex. Cosmo later continues to help Mantis and Moondragon, another notable Marvel telepath, attempting to stop the war. However, when the space pirate Starjammers bring the war to Nowhere, Cosmo is forced to fight, one of the very few moments in which Cosmo gets involved in the action.
I think I shall call him Adam.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 follows the debut of Adam Warlock, an extremely powerful character in the Marvel Universe. Warlock is a humanoid android specifically crafted to be the perfect human, and at one point, he comes into conflict with Cosmo the Space Dog himself. In Guardians of the Galaxy number 19, the Guardians find themselves in a future ruled by Adam Warlock's villainous alter ego, Magus. During this issue, the Guardians become afflicted by trouble with the timelines, and Cosmo temporarily becomes a puppy. They're later reverted back to their normal forms by Kang the Conqueror, but Cosmo doesn't last long after that. When Adam Warlock loses control of Magus and ends up fighting the Guardians, he ends up killing not only Cosmo, but Gamora, Phyla-Vell, and many other Guardians. Despite their losses, Star-Lord suppresses Magus and kills him before returning to Nowhere as a smaller team. Thankfully, the Fallen are revealed to be alive several issues later. Cosmo first appeared in live action in the 2014 film Guardians of the Galaxy. Written and directed by James Gunn, the film is mainly inspired by the 2008 iteration of the team, which includes Peter Quill, Rocket Raccoon, Groot, Gamora, and Drax. Guardians features an extended sequence on Nowhere, where Tavon, the Collector, resides with his Museum of Cosmic Memorabilia. One of those prized possessions is none other than Cosmo the Space Dog. Cosmo plays basically no part in the events on Nowhere, as the Guardians attempt to sell the Power Stone to the Collector before the arrival of Ronan the Accuser. The Collector doesn't appear again until a post-credit scene, in which he's seen sitting with Cosmo in the wreckage of his home.
What do you let it lick you like that for? Gross.
Cosmo also made an appearance in Season 1 of What If, an animated series on Disney Plus examining alternate timelines within the Marvel Cinematic Universe's canon. One of those timelines finds T'Challa taking Peter Quill's place as Star-Lord, facing off against a corrupted Tavon. After T'Challa defeats him, Cosmo is freed by the Collector's former slave and taken in as a pet by Yondu. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special gives Cosmo an upgraded role with the current Guardians team. Early in the special, it's revealed that the Guardians have purchased Knowhere from the Collector and are using it as a home base, which aligns with Knowhere's function in the comics. Subsequently, Cosmo the Space Dog is now a de facto member of the team, helping them make touch-ups to their headquarters. Just like in the comics, Cosmo and Rocket butt heads over their mundane work, but this story takes a backseat to Drax and Mantis' attempts to save Peter Quill's Christmas. Cosmo is voiced by Maria Bakalova in both the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, marking the first and only instance in which the Guardian Space Dog has been portrayed as female. Although fans have yet to see the next chapter in the Guardians of the Galaxy's adventures in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the end is certainly nigh. James Gunn has adequately prepared fans for the heartbreaking final entry in the trilogy, implying that it will act as a send-off for the current iteration of the Guardians team. Given that it's unlikely the entire team will be killed off, some of the new characters debuting in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 may well become future Guardians in the MCU. Cosmo and Adam Warlock, for example, may play large roles in future films, such as Avengers Secret Wars, or even the Nova Project, rumored to be in the works at Marvel Studios. Either way, here's hoping for more adventures starring Marvel's finest canine cosmonaut.